Alright. Alright. So the Mosaic build is fully built out now, and I just wanted to give a slight update to show basically what I've done and where we at with the build. Also, I'm gonna check if there's public games with players 8, and then I wanna go in and show how well this actually works on the players 8, like soloing in players 8, basically, right? Um, because that's really what's gonna show off how good she actually is, right? So let's go over the gear first. Which has I've swapped out a couple of items, I've changed a couple of things, but it's I feel like this is fully how I would build it out personally. As like this is what I feel like is the best possible gear you can put on. Um, I will not be using a Griffins, and I won't be going for the 102 faster breakpoint. It's I feel it's not really worth it. I tried it for a minute, but the difference in speed was not really. I didn't see any difference in speed. It's pretty much the same, so no point in that. I felt like. But yeah, let's of course we have the Mosaic. So I got this one, and it's a 3 Phoenix Strike, 1 Fade, 2 Cobra Strike. Don't use the Cobra Strike. I do use the Fade um, and the Phoenix Strike, but to be completely honest, after playing this build on ladder with um, a lot, I literally realized that you don't even need. You can have Mosaic with literally no skills. Phoenix Strike it's nice and all, but it's not necessary by any means. You can literally have a base with 0 added skills on it and put the Mosaics in, and it'll still annihilate everything. Um, so yeah, it's really cheap to build out. Um, 2 Ghoul runes, 2 Mal runes, 2 Am runes. In the beginning of ladder, that's pretty fucking cheap compared to having to make like some of the other things for some of the other characters. That is definitely way more expensive, like Enigma and stuff like that, or Hodo and um, what you call it, um, like Death Fathom or whatever you like, depending on what kind of build you're building. I feel like this is definitely at the lowest cost of entry in terms of how good it is, right? So that's why I would say this is the new number one build for sure. And when I say number one build, it doesn't mean that there's no other builds that can perform slightly better or have slightly higher damage. Sure, the Lightning Sword and the Javison can have higher damage, but in terms of how cheap this is and how fast it'll clear, I think this is a better choice in terms of racing for the ladder. That's what I call the best builds, is the ones that win the ladder. Um, and that's why I, on the previous video, said that the Hamadin and um, the Sork used to be the best builds, because they used to be number 1 and 2 all through every ladder. It was always a bunch of Pallies and a bunch of Sorks, right? But now the new ladder, basically it's assassin, right? That's who wins the ladder. So that's why I feel like this is the best build, is because you get the most bang for the buck, I would say, right? So we have this one, and we have this one, which is 3 Phoenix Strike and 2 to Death Century. And the reason for the Death Century is for doing bail runs and having another Mosaic Assassin with me. Then I don't want to be pushing my charges and killing enemies if he's already using um, the Mosaics, and because it really does bug out a lot of people's PlayStations and whatnot, if there's multiple Mosaic Assassins all attacking at once. It does fuck with the consoles, and it does fuck with the PCs, and it slows down the game. And so if there's another guy in there who's also using Mosaic, what I'll do is I'll swap over to the death sensories, and I'll just be popping death sensories, and then whenever something dies, we get the corpse explosion, and that's it, right? So that's my reasoning behind using that. Then we have a 215 crafted amulet. It's a terrible one. It could be a lot better, but I need the 15 faster cast to hit my breakpoint, so that's why I'm using this. We got a 220 circlet, which I still need to put. I'm not 100% sure yet if I'm gonna do a Cham rune or if I'm gonna do a nice jewel. I haven't really decided, but there's definitely going to be added something to this at some point. I just still haven't really decided on which part it's gonna be yet. So we got an Enigma, 15 ED base. Sadly, it rolled a little low on the defense, but it's I used this one because I really like the visual of this armor. So this golden black look on her, I really like that. That's also why I used Suwaya, is because I really do like the pointy triangle knife looking things she is holding in her hand. They look very nice. It looks almost like a pair of canines or whatever you want to call them, like the teeth on a dog, or a predator, whatever you want to call it. And then we have a pair of crafted 2010 gloves here. Now the crushing blow doesn't really translate to the kicks, but it is one of those items that is more of a trophy item, I would call it. It's not something that you find a lot, so, or it's not something you make easily. I've probably crafted around 2200 gloves before hitting something like this. So I've definitely done my fair share of crafting to get to this. And then we have 10 faster cast ring with some all res and a replenish life. Another faster cast with some strength and some life. We have arachnids, and we are rocking some shadow dancers. Big shout out to Calvin for hooking me the fuck up with these on JSP. I really appreciate it. He's the man for that. He basically finished out the build for me by selling me those, so I'm madly happy about that. We got a CTA. Sadly didn't roll 6 bow, but it's still close enough to where I didn't want to re-roll it. It's good enough. We have a backup monarch. Then we got 7 all rests. Large arm. We got a 2017 torch. We got a 2017 10 Annie. We got some fire rush, some lightning rush with faster hit recovery, some faster run walk with cold rush, and some life with lightning rush, and some life with fire rush, and some life with lightning rush. And then of course we got some skillers, a couple of lifers, a couple of or a faster hit recovery, and we got this one. It's a 7 faster run walk, 14 all res grand charm, and then we got this 12 faster hit recovery, 14 all res grand charm. Yeah, I do really want to get 2 nice skillers or 3 nice skillers with life to switch out the ones that don't have and the ones that aren't skillers. Not that you really need it, which I will show in a second. The skills is just phenomenal on her. We got 101 magic find, which is plenty for grinding levels. 85% faster run walk, 59% faster hit recovery, which I do need to get 1% up, but that'll come. 75% faster cast, and 100% chance of that's from the Mosaic, and then we got some fire damage, some lightning damage, and some cold damage. On top of that, we maxed out Fire Fist, Fist of Fire, Claws of Thunder, Blades of Ice, and Phoenix Strike. So all those are maxed out, and then I use, for the most part, I'll use Dragon Tail to as the finishing move to release the charges. Um, and if you want to do PvP, I suggest using this, the Dragonfly, because it teleports you directly on top of an enemy. Although the PvP part with this character is fairly hard, because you have to kind of teleport around, keep your charges up, and then catch somebody um, while your charges is already up, right? I use a Shadow Warrior. I was switching between the Shadow Warrior and the Shadow Master, but I really do like the Warrior more. Of course, we have maxed out Fade to maximize the curse reduction. So if you get cursed, it's 85% reduction on that, and the physical damage received goes down by 28% and 66% to all rest. So it's a really all around good skill to have. I put 1 point into burst of speed, so more so for running around town or quickly getting your charges up, or whatever you need it for, right? I have Mind Blast. I really don't use it that much because it kind of annoys me with this build. And then, of course, the Death Sunderies from the Claw. Yeah. So that's the basics. We got a Mercenary with a Fortitude, Andariel's Visage, which I will be swapping out for a Cure at some point. And then when I get a Cure, I'm thinking I'll put a Chain of Honor on as the armor. We got an Inside On right now, but in the stash here we have an Infinity and a Warpike that I can swap out for. So if I'm doing players 8, then I'll swap out to the Infinity instead of having my mana. And if I'm doing players 1 just by myself with a couple of people and then nobody has a Inside On, then I'll swap or I'll use the Inside in order to keep my mana up as good or as much as possible. We do also have a Demon Limb, not that I need it, but it's from the old build I had. We have another pair of 2010s with a little bit different setup on, but nothing crazy, or it's kind of crazy, but it's not too wild. So let's really quickly just go to the River of Flame and let me explain, because I'm gonna bring something real quick just to show off how it works, because I just gave away a Mosaic build, and the guy I gave it to wanted to use one Mosaic Claw and then one Claw, I think it was a Fury. And this is why that doesn't work, right? So let's build up our charges real quick. So we get 3 of the blue circles, 3 of the red circles, and then 3 of the white circles moving around us here. Boom, like that. So when I use my R2 attack, you see how it releases all the charges, but I get to keep them. They're still on me, right? So let's just hit this one, and then let me swoop that around. So if I go to hit something now, look, boom, gone. Now the charges is gone. So now I have to run over to the next, and I have to build them back up, have to stand there, hit them, build them up, build them up, build them up, build them up. And that's why you want the 2 mosaics and not just the one. You see, because I use it, boom, gone again. So that's why you need both, because otherwise you'll have to charge up with every enemy you meet, and it's gonna take you, like, instead of taking 2 minutes to do a full chaos run, it'll take you fucking half an hour, because you have to stand there and charge everything up constantly. so it doesn't work that well. But this is why you want both mosaics on at all time. You do not want to experiment with other types of claws or anything, because it's generally not worth like it's not worth losing your charges to maybe gain whatever advantage you could get um, from another claw, right? So that's why, like, this claw is not bad or anything, but it's just not worth it, because it will make me lose the charges every single time I attack, and that's why this is the number one way to do it, is having the both mosaics. It takes a little, you have a little wind up time where you have to get it going, but once it's going, if you're smart with it, you can keep it going for a long time with no problem. And if you see how much, this is without infinity, and this is how fast it clears on players 1. So we'll be swapping around and see if we can find a higher number player count. Let's do that real quick. Um, hmm. So we do not have. Well, this is better, but it's still not a players 8 game. It's only players 4. But you'll see what I'm, and even on players 4, this is where you can see how effective this build actually is. Because I'm not even gonna put the infinity on right now. I'm just gonna do the regular inside and just charge up real quick. Boom, 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 boom. That was the cold. That was the fire, and this is the lightning. Boom, we charged. You see, this is how fucking fast it is without an infinity, right? Now let's go back. Let's grab the infinity, and you'll see it'll go even faster, right? Like, it'll be even more crazy. Put that on.
Greetings.
Charging up again. Boom, boom, boom. Fully charged. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay, so we are charged. Let's go find. Look here. You see how instant everything dies? And it'll be just as instant on players 8 with the infinity on. With the infinity on though, one problem you will have is your mana consumption is going up considerably, so that for that reason you are going to want to have like, I would say 2 lines of mana potions at least. That would be number 1.
I can't carry anymore.
This build is just phenomenal. It is really, 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 really good. It clears the whole screen super fast. It doesn't really take a lot of investment to get. It's able to do all of these things without Enigma, without Infinity, and without GG gear. You basically just need the 2 claws, and once you have the 2 claws, you are basically good to go.
Put that to good use.
So yeah, that's the update for for my mosaic build. So as I said, I finally got the last couple items. Now it's just down to some skillers, and once we got the last couple of skillers in house, then she'll be fully decked with without missing anything, right? And damage right now is 10k to 33k on the lying screen, which is not completely correct. That's just the lightning damage, and you notice that there is cold and fire as well. So it doesn't really show you that on the screen. But if we go in to our stats here, you'll notice that we have a fairly decent damage on the fire. It's 4k damage and a 2.5k over per second. On top of, we have the, not that one, that was the lightning. This one is the cold, so we have another 3k in cold damage. The damage output on this is just ridiculous. It is so freaking good. It does incredible. It's incredibly fast as long as you keep your charges up, and I would say it's like say 5 seconds, or maybe it's a little more before you lose your charges. So, for instance, in chaos, right? Like when you pop the last seal, um, if you teleport straight back here and wait for Diablo, you will lose your charges. But you do have enough time to, like, let's say this was the last um, seal. I pop the last seal, and then I can teleport back to the beginning of the entrance, and I usually keep something alive right here. Now I killed it, but I'll keep something alive. I'll attack it, get my charges up, like, or get my charges re-amped, you could say, and then they're ready for me to teleport straight into the middle and kill Diablo. Um, so that's how I do it. Same goes for Bale Run. If we're standing inside the Bale room and the wave dies, once he's done laughing, then I teleport outside the room. I hit something outside the room somewhere, like in the outskirts of the throne room, and then I come back inside the room, and the next wave will pop. I kill it. Once he's done laughing, I'll teleport outside again and find another group, kill them, teleport back in, and that's how you do it to keep the charges going constantly, right? So, yeah, that's it, man. And I really appreciate you guys watching it. I hope this helps and this provides um, some info that you can use. And yeah, man, this is how I would do it. I like this build a lot. I do really like the speed on it, but it is broken in a couple of ways. It's broken in the way it fucks with the old consoles. It's broken in the way that it takes a very small amount of investment to get the gear, and it has such a high output in the on the back end. And it's as I said, I played it a lot. Like you can tell from me being level 97 that I played it a lot last season. This was my only character all of last season, so I just played this and nothing else. Um, yeah, and I can highly advise people to use this build. I would say it's among the best builds in the game. There are other builds, as I said before, the Javason, the Lightning Source. There's other builds that can do the same in technically a better way because they have a higher damage output. But let's take the Javason for instance, right? Like she has a higher damage output, but does she really clear the screen fully? Um, no, she'll clear parts of the screen, and you'll have to basically collect all the enemies into one pile, and then throw your jabs at them to like clear the whole screen. If they're like spread out too much, then you'll just kill some of them, and the rest of them will be standing in each their corner, and you'll have to run up and hit them individually, and that takes away from the clear speed time, right? Whereas this doesn't leave anything behind. Basically, it just removes everything you see. Um, Certain areas that are, I would say, a little more tough to run with her is stuff like cows, just because it kind of. But I feel like it's the same problem with the Javasson as it is with this. It kills everything, and the same with the Necromancer. Actually, it kills everything in a big pile on top of each other if the enemies is grouped up. And when they do that without a loot filter, the loot itself can be very, very hard to see. It's super tough to actually see where the loot is and what it's. You basically miss out on certain things just because it's hard to see them. So yeah, that's that's it, man. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys gonna try it out. Don't take the resistances too serious because you have your fade, and with your fade, it's gonna go really high, right? So if we look at my fire res, for instance, it's 128. The cold res is 169. The lightning is 150, and the poison is 110. I put the fade on. Now we're at 196, 237, uh, 218, and 178. So really don't need to push for the resistances too much. What I would suggest is pushing for the dexterity on some of the gear, just to, if especially if you're wearing Surveyors or something that has a higher requirement. So these have 99 dex requirement, 99 strength requirement. So in that, for that reason, it does take a couple of points in order to basically put on this gear. Like I have to invest some points into. I don't have a lot of points into it, as you can tell. It's only at 41, but it's enough points to where if I use them on health instead, that would make me go up quite a bit, right? So as you can tell, mainly you're just gonna use your points for vitality. You just want to be able to use your gear, and the more dex you can pull off your gear, the better. Dex and strength, right? So you don't have to spend a lot to wear your enigma, to wear your claws, and to wear your boots and whatnot. But yeah, that's it, man. Um, if you could get a 220 or a 217 at the bare minimum for the assassin crafted amulet, you can then put on a griffins, and you can put on some 20 cast gloves, and you'll be at the 102 if that's what you want to be. Yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll catch you in another